Captain Vexen's long fingers trembled as he stared at the red warning lights covering his ship's control panel. The Dawn's hope, pride of the Zalarian research fleet, was dying around him. Systems that had worked perfectly for decades were failing one by one, and nothing his crew tried could stop the cascade of breakdowns. Captain, Science Officer Keelta called from her station, her voice tight with worry. The life support systems are down to 60% efficiency. At this rate, we have maybe 4 days before the air becomes too thin to breathe. Vexton closed his eyes and tried to think. His people were explorers and scientists, not engineers or soldiers. They built their ships to work in the safe, controlled environments of civilized space. Out here on the galactic rim, where radiation storms and gravity wells pulled at everything, their delicate technology simply could not cope. "What about the distress beacon?" he asked. "Still transmitting, sir," Communications Officer Nalvin replied. "But we are so far from any known civilization. The nearest Galactic Council outpost is 3 weeks away, even at maximum speed, and no one travels to this sector anymore." The bridge fell silent, except for the steady beeping of failing systems. Vexton looked around at his crew of 12. They were all young, brilliant scientists who had volunteered for this mission to study the ancient ruins on the dead world below them. Now they were going to die because he had been too curious about some old stones. Engineer Mortal spoke up. From his position near the power controls, "Captain, I might be able to boost the beacon's signal strength. Would drain our remaining power faster, but maybe someone would hear us." "Do it," Vexton ordered. What else could they do? Even if it shortened their time, at least their families might learn what happened to them far across the void. The human deep space survey ship, New Horizon, moved steadily through the asteroid belt surrounding the Kepler 442 system. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, coffee cup in hand, watching the stars wheel slowly past. His crew had been out here for 8 months, mapping unexplored systems and looking for resources or habitable worlds. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Communications Officer Lisa Carter announced. She was bent over her console, adjusting frequencies and filters. "It looks like a distress signal, but the language pattern is completely unknown." Morrison walked over to look at her screens. Lines of alien text scrolled past, mixed with what looked like technical readouts and star charts. "Any idea what species?" "It might be. The AI is working on it now," Lisa replied. "The mathematical constants are universal, so we can figure out some basic meanings. Give me a few minutes." Chief Engineer Pete Williams joined them, wiping grease from his hands with a rag. He had been deep in the engine room, fine-tuning their jump drive. "How far away is this signal coming from?" Lisa checked her readings. "About 18 hours at our current speed, maybe 12 if we push the engines. But Captain, it's coming from the dead zone near the galactic rim. That whole area is marked as hazardous on our charts." Morrison nodded. Every spacer knew about the rim territories. Its unstable stars, radiation storms, and gravity anomalies made it dangerous for most ships to operate there. Only the most desperate or foolish ventured into those regions. "I got something," Lisa announced. The translation program had finally made sense of parts of the alien message. They're calling themselves Zalarians. Their ship is called Dawn's Hope, and they're in serious trouble. Life support failing, engines dead, no way to repair the damage. She paused, reading more of the decoded text. "Captain, they're scientists. They were studying some ruins when their systems started breaking down. They don't think anyone will hear their signal in time to help." Morrison felt something twist in his gut. It was the same feeling he had gotten years ago when he heard about the colony ship Mayflower that had gone missing with 4,000 people aboard. No one had been able to reach them in time. "Pete, what's our supply situation?" he asked. Engineer consulted his tablet. "We've got plenty of food and water for a rescue mission. Fuel is tight, but we could make it there and back if we're careful. Medical supplies are good too, thanks to that resupply at Station 7. Navigator Amy Davis looked up from her star charts. "Captain, there's a route through the Helix Nebula that could cut our travel time to 10 hours. It's risky because of the electromagnetic interference, but my calculations show it's doable." Morrison looked around at his crew. These were good people, experienced spacers who had signed up for dangerous survey work because they believed in pushing humanity's boundaries. They all knew what he was thinking. "Sir," Security Chief Ryan Bell spoke from his position near the weapons console, "we don't know anything about these aliens. They could be hostile, or this could be some kind of trap." "You're right, we don't know," Morrison agreed. "But they sound scared and desperate. Yet. And if we were the ones sending that distress call, wouldn't we want someone to come help?" The bridge crew exchanged glances. In space, you helped people in trouble. It was one of the few universal laws that every human ship followed, no matter what nation or corporation they served. "Amy, plot that course through the nebula," Morrison ordered. "Pete, I want the engines ready for maximum burn in 30 minutes. Lisa, keep monitoring their signal and see if you can establish two-way communication. Ryan, I want a full security briefing in 1 hour. If this is a trap, we'll be ready for it." As his crew hurried to carry out his orders, Morrison stared. Out at the stars, somewhere out there, alien beings were facing death in the cold vacuum of space. Maybe they were peaceful scientists like they claimed, or maybe they were something else entirely. Either way, he could not live with himself if he did not at least try to help. Back on the Dawn's Hope, the situation was getting worse. 2 more. Systems had failed in the last hour, and the temperature was starting to drop as the heating units struggled to work with reduced power. "Science." Officer Kielta floated near the communications panel, monitoring their beacon. "Still no response to our signal, Captain? I'm afraid we're truly alone out here." Young researcher Telma looked up from where she had been recording final messages for her family. "Captain, what if no one comes? What if we just drift here until the air runs out?" Sexton tried to project calm confidence, even though his own hearts were racing with fear. "We keep working, Telma. We try every solution we can think of. And we hope that somewhere in this vast galaxy, someone heard our call and is coming to help." He did not really believe it himself. The Zolarians were a peaceful, civilized people who lived in the safe inner systems of the galaxy. They built beautiful cities and created amazing art, but they were not warriors or explorers like their ancestors had been. Out here in the dangerous frontier, they were as helpless as children. The bridge lights dimmed as another power relay burned out. In the growing darkness, 13 Zolarian scientists waited for death, never imagining that help was already racing toward them through the cosmic storm of the Helix Nebula. Captain. Jake Morrison stood at the forward viewport of the New Horizon, watching the swirling colors of the nebula part before their ship. His crew worked with quiet efficiency around him, pushing their vessel to its limits to reach the aliens in time. In 10 hours, 2 very different species would meet for the first time. Neither could imagine how much that meeting would change both their peoples forever. The New Horizon dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, and Captain Jake Morrison immediately knew they had a bigger problem than just a broken alien ship. 3 sleek, dark vessels surrounded the Dawn's Hope like sharks circling wounded prey. "Captain, I'm reading weapon signatures from those ships," Security Chief Ryan Bell reported, his voice tense. "They're not trying to help the aliens. They're boarding them." Lisa Carter worked frantically at her communications station, picking up transmissions between the unknown vessels. "The language is different from the Zolarians, more aggressive sounding. The computer is trying to translate now." Morrison watched through the main screen as small craft detached from the dark ships and moved toward the helpless Zolarian vessel. Whatever was happening, it was not a rescue operation. "Translation coming through," Lisa announced. "They're calling themselves Cricks. From what I can make out, they're talking about harvesting something valuable from the aliens. They keep using words that translate to meat, organs, and black market." A cold feeling settled in Morrison's stomach. Pirates. Of all the dangers in space, slavers and organ traders were among the worst. They preyed on disabled ships and isolated colonies, taking what they wanted and leaving nothing behind. "Get us closer, but keep our distance," Morrison ordered. "Pete, I want all systems ready for combat if needed. And prepare a security team." Engineer Pete Williams checked his readings. "Captain, those Krek ships are armed with plasma cannons and missile systems. Our weapons are mainly for asteroid mining and defense against small craft. We're outgunned. Maybe, Morrison replied, but we're not outfought. Not yet. On the Dawn's Hope, Captain Vexon and his crew huddled in their main laboratory as strange. Reptilian creatures forced their way through the airlock. The Kreks were tall and covered in dark scales, with yellow eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. They carried weapons that hummed with deadly energy. The lead Kreks warrior, whose scales were marked with scars from many battles, looked around the laboratory with satisfaction. These soft, plant-eating aliens would bring good prices in the Outer Rim slave markets. Their organs were considered delicacies by certain criminal organizations. Please, Captain Vexon said, his voice shaking. We are scientists. We have no weapons, no military value. Our ship is already dying. Just leave us alone. The Kreks commander laughed, a harsh sound like breaking glass. Exactly what makes you valuable, little plant eater. No one fights back. No one comes looking. For you, perfect prey. Science Officer Keelta pressed herself against the wall, trying to become invisible. She had never seen violence before, had never imagined that beings could take pleasure in causing fear and pain. The peaceful Zalarian civilization had no concept of predators like this. Young researcher Telma started to cry, in tears running down her pale cheeks. The Kreks warriors found this amusing and made clicking sounds that might have been laughter. Outside, the New Horizon moved closer to the scene. Morrison tried one last attempt at diplomacy, though he suspected it would not work. Unknown vessels. This is Captain Morrison of the human ship New Horizon. We detected a distress call from the research vessel Dawn's Hope. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. The reply came back in broken Galactic Standard, the common trade language used throughout known space. Human ship, you are. Not in our database. Turn away or be destroyed. This prey belongs to the Kreks raiding pack. Lisa Carter had been running the Kreks language through their translation software. Captain, I'm getting more details from their communications. They're talking about how much they can sell the aliens for. Definitely plan to kill them. Morrison looked around his bridge crew. Ryan Bell was checking his weapons. Amy Davis was calculating attack vectors. Pete Williams was rerouting power to their defensive systems. Lisa Carter was monitoring all frequencies for any sign of Kreks. Reinforcements. These people had served with him for 3 years. They had mapped dangerous systems, fought off asteroid pirates, and survived engine failures in deep space. They were tough, experienced spacers who did not back down from a fight. All hands. Battle stations, Morrison announced over the ship's communication system. We have pirates attacking a disabled civilian vessel. We're going in. The Kreks commander on his flagship was not worried when he saw the human ship approaching. The vessel was smaller than his own and showed no signs of heavy weapons. Another easy target, probably responding to the same distress call his pack had intercepted. Take the new ship as well, he ordered his subordinates. Humans are not in our database, so they might be worth something to the collectors. 3 Kreks fighters detached from the main ships and moved toward the New Horizon. Their plasma cannons charged up, ready to disable the human vessel with precise shots to the engines and weapons. They never got the chance to fire. Ryan Bell had been a Marine before joining Morrison's crew. He understood something the Kreks did not. Humans did not just defend themselves when attacked. They hunted their enemies down and eliminated the threat completely. The New Horizon's mining lasers, designed to cut through asteroid rock, sliced through the first Kreks fighter like it was made of paper. The second fighter tried to turn away, but Amy Davis had already calculated its likely escape route. A spread of mining charges normally used to break up large rocks caught the Kreks ship and tore it apart. The third fighter managed to get off a shot, but Pete Williams had rerouted power to their shields at exactly the right moment. The plasma bolt splashed harmlessly against their defensive barrier, while the New Horizon's return fire turned the Kreks ship into expanding gas and debris. On the flagship, the Kreks commander stared in shock at his tactical display. 3 of his best fighters had been destroyed in less than 30 seconds by a single unknown vessel. How was that possible? All ships, concentrate fire on the human vessel, he snarled. Kill them now!
Ow.
But Morrison was not interested in a straight Fight. Human tactics in space combat were different from what most aliens expected. Instead of standing still and trading shots, the New Horizon moved like a hunting animal, using the asteroid field and the Zalarian ship itself as cover. Lisa Carter had broken into the Krex communication network and was feeding false information to their targeting systems. Amy Davis flew their ship through gaps between asteroids that the bulky Krex vessels could not follow. Pete Williams kept their systems running at peak efficiency while Ryan Bell coordinated their weapon strikes with deadly precision. The second Krex ship tried to retreat when it realized the fight was not going as planned. Morrison could not let that happen. If even one raider escaped, it would bring back reinforcements, and the Zalarians would still die. Take out their engines, he ordered. The New Horizon pursued the fleeing Krex vessel like a shark chasing wounded prey. Their mining equipment, never designed for ship-to-ship combat, proved surprisingly effective at cutting through enemy armor and disabling critical systems. On the Dawn's Hope, the Krex boarding party was growing nervous. Their ships outside had gone silent, and the sounds of battle were getting closer. The commander tried to contact his fleet, but got only static. "What is happening out there?" one of his warriors asked, tightening his grip on his weapon. Before the commander could answer, the lights in the laboratory flickered and went out. In the darkness, Captain Vexthon heard new sounds, human voices, speaking in calm professional tones. Footsteps moving with purpose through the ship's corridors. "Zalarian ship, this is the New Horizon. We're coming aboard to help. Stay where you are, and keep your heads down." The Krex warriors spun toward the airlock as it began to cycle open. They raised their weapons, ready to fight these unknown humans who had somehow defeated their entire fleet. They were not ready for what came. Through that airlock, Ryan Bell and his security team moved like ghosts in the darkness, using night vision equipment and coordinated tactics that the Krex had never encountered. These humans did not just fight. They hunted with the efficiency of apex predators. When the emergency lights finally came back on, the Krex boarding party was gone. Captain Vexton and his crew found themselves looking at creatures they had never imagined. Humans were shorter than Zalarians, but built more solidly, with eyes that seemed to see everything and faces that could shift from gentle concern to cold determination in seconds. "Are you all right?" Ryan Bell asked, his weapon still ready, but pointed away from the aliens. "Did they hurt any of you?" Telma stared at the human security chief in amazement. Minutes ago, she had been preparing to die. Now these strange beings from an unknown world had appeared like avenging angels to save them. Captain Vexton managed to find his voice. "We are unharmed, but who are you? How did you defeat the raiders so quickly?" Ryan Bell smiled, and there was something in that expression that made the gentle Zalarians shiver. "We're humans, sir, and nobody preys on innocent people while we're around." Outside, the last Krex ship was a drifting hulk, its crew dead or evacuated. The New Horizon moved closer to the Dawn's Hope, ready to begin rescue operations. "Captain." Morrison looked at the tactical display showing the destroyed raider fleet. His crew had fought and won their first alien battle, but he knew this was just the beginning. The rescue operation took 6 hours.
Captain Jake Morrison watched from the New
Horizon's bridge as his crew worked, alongside the Zalarians, to repair the Dawn's Hope. It was strange to see two such different species trying to understand each other through gestures and broken translations. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the ship's doctor and xenobiologist, had set up a temporary medical station on the Zalarian vessel. She moved carefully among the alien scientists, checking each one for injuries or shock. The Zalarians were tall and thin with pale blue skin and large eyes that seemed to take in everything around them. "They're fascinating," Sarah reported over the communication link. "Their physiology is completely adapted for peaceful environments. Low muscle density, delicate bone structure, nervous systems designed for complex thought rather than quick reactions. They're like living computers made of flesh." Engineer Pete Williams was working with Zalarian technician Mortal to restore power to the alien ship's critical systems. The two beings made an odd pair. Pete was short and stocky with calloused hands from years of mechanical work. Mortal was almost twice his height, with fingers so long and delicate they looked like they might break if he gripped something too hard. Their technology is incredible, Pete told Morrison through his headset. These power systems are at least 50 years ahead of anything we have, but they're built for perfect conditions. One power surge or temperature change outside normal limits, and everything breaks down. Morrison nodded, watching Mortal work. The Zalarian's movements were precise and graceful, like he was conducting music instead of repairing machinery. But when a loose wire sparked near his hand, he jumped back in terror as if it might kill him. On the other side of the ship, Security Chief Ryan Bell was having a very different conversation with Captain Vexton. The Zalarian captain kept staring at Ryan with a mixture of gratitude and deep unease. "I do not understand your people," Vexton said carefully. "One moment you speak with kindness and offer help. The next moment you become something else entirely. How do you change so quickly from healer to hunter?" Ryan thought about the question for a moment. How could he explain to a being who had never known violence that humans lived with it every day? "Captain, on our world, we had to learn to fight or die. For millions of years, everything on Earth tried to kill us. Other animals, diseases, weather, even the ground under our feet. We became good at fighting because we had no choice." "You chose to help us," Vexton said. "You could have ignored our distress call or demanded payment for rescue." "Yes, we could have," Ryan agreed. "But that's not who we are. We fight to protect, not to destroy. There's a difference." Vexton was quiet for a long time, processing this information. His people had evolved on a world where the largest predator was about the size of a house cat. They had never developed weapons or armies, or even the concept of deliberately harming another being. The idea that an entire species could be both protector and destroyer was difficult for him to understand. Communications? Officer Lisa Carter had managed to establish a more complete translation system between the two ships. She was learning as much as she could about Zellarian language and culture, but some of what she discovered worried her. "Captain," she reported to Morrison, "I've been talking with their communications officer in Nelvin. According to him, the Krex. Raids in this sector have been getting worse over the past year. They're hitting research stations, small colonies, even trade ships that venture too far from the main routes."
Morrison frowned.
"What did the Galactic authorities do about it?" "The problem, sir? The Galactic Council has peacekeeping forces, but they won't operate in dangerous areas like this. Their ships and crews are just as fragile as civilian vessels. They stay in the safe, civilized systems and hope the problems on the frontier will solve themselves." This information troubled Morrison more than he wanted to admit. If the galaxy was full of peaceful species like the Zalarians, and if the authorities would not venture into dangerous areas, then pirates and other criminals had free run of huge sections of space. Innocent beings died while their governments looked the other way. Dr. Sarah Mitchell finished her medical examinations and joined the conversation. "Jake, I need to tell you something about these aliens. They're not just peaceful by choice. They literally cannot handle stress the way we can. Their hearts beat so fast during danger that they risk cardiac failure. Their nervous systems are designed for calm, rational thought. Violence is not just foreign to them, it's physically harmful." "What do you mean?" Morrison asked. "I mean that witnessing what we did to those Krex ships probably traumatized them more than being captured would have. They've never seen that level of destruction before. Some of them are showing symptoms similar to human post-traumatic stress disorder." Morrison felt a weight settle on his shoulders. His crew had done what they thought was right, but they might have hurt the people they were trying to save. How could humans and aliens work together if their very natures were so different? The answer came from an unexpected source. Young researcher Telma approached Lisa Carter with a datapad covered in alien symbols. "Human Lisa," Telma said in careful, broken English, "I want to show you something. Study old ruins on Dead World below. Very dangerous place, with radiation and gravity problems. But we find amazing things there." Lisa looked at the datapad, trying to understand the alien writing. The translation software was still working on the more complex symbols, but she could make out some basic meanings. "These are star charts," Lisa realized, "but not like any I've seen before. They show systems that aren't on any of our maps. Yes, Telma said excitedly. Ancient civilization that traveled to places too dangerous. For modern ships, we cannot go to these places ourselves. Too scary, too risky for Zalarian bodies. We can only study from safe distance. Lisa felt a spark of understanding. But humans could go there. We could explore those places for you. Maybe Telma said, hopefully. We could help humans too. Our sensors much better than yours. Our computers faster, our knowledge of physics more advanced. Together, we could learn things neither species could discover alone. This conversation was happening all over both ships. Engineer Pete Williams was amazed by Zalarian manufacturing techniques that could create materials stronger than anything humans had developed. The aliens were equally impressed by human ability to work with crude tools and improvise solutions. Navigator. Amy Davis discovered that Zalarian star charts were incredibly detailed and accurate, but they only covered safe, well-traveled routes. Human charts were rougher, but included dangerous areas that other species avoided. Combined, they could map the entire galaxy. Security Chief Ryan Bell learned that the Zalarians had extensive databases on criminal organizations and pirate movements. But they had no way to act on this information. They could identify threats, but not stop them. Captain Vexton found Captain Morrison in the Dawn's Hope's main laboratory, where the human was examining some of the artifacts the Zalarians had recovered from the ruins below. Captain Morrison, Vexton said formally, my crew and I owe you our lives. Akuba, but I must ask you something that troubles me greatly. Morrison looked up from a crystalline artifact that seemed to glow with its own inner light. What's on your mind, Captain? Now people terrify us, Vexton admitted. Not because you are cruel or evil, but because you are so comfortable with violence. How can beings who destroy enemy ships so easily also show such kindness to strangers? Morrison set down the artifact and considered his words carefully. Captain, my world taught us that sometimes you have to fight to protect the things you love. We don't enjoy killing, but we won't stand by and watch innocent people suffer when we can stop it. But how do we know you will not turn that violence against us someday? Vexton asked. Because Morrison said simply, you're not trying to hurt anyone. The Kreks were torturing your people for profit. You're exploring the universe to learn new things. There's a difference between predator and prey, Captain. We hunt predators. Over the next several hours, as both ships prepared to leave the system, an idea began to form. The Zalarians needed protection from pirates and other dangers they could not handle alone. The humans needed access to advanced technology and scientific knowledge they could not develop quickly enough on their own. Communications. Officer Nalvin was the first to say it out loud during a joint briefing between both crews. Perhaps our species could work together. Humans could provide security for Zalarian research missions. Zalarians could share technology and scientific discoveries with human explorers. The suggestion created excited discussions on both ships. Engineer Mortal began showing Pete Williams designs for hybrid vessels that combined human durability with Zalarian advanced systems. Dr. Sarah Mitchell and Zalarian biologist Velcor discussed joint research projects that could benefit both species. But it was Captain Vexton who made the formal proposal. Captain Morrison, what if we established a permanent alliance? Your people could base operations in this sector, protecting peaceful research and trade missions. Our people could provide technical support and scientific knowledge. Together, we might make this dangerous region safe for exploration. 3 weeks after the rescue, Captain Jake Morrison stood in the cargo bay of the New Horizon, watching teams of humans and Zalarians work together to unload equipment for their new base. The asteroid they had chosen was perfect for their needs. Large enough to build a proper station, hidden enough to avoid unwanted attention, and positioned to control the main shipping routes through the sector. The construction is going faster than we expected, Engineer Pete Williams reported, wiping sweat from his forehead. Having Zalarian manufacturing equipment makes everything easier. What used to take us days now takes hours. Morrison nodded, watching a group of Zalarian technicians operate machines that seemed to build themselves. The aliens would program the devices with their delicate, precise movements and the machines would create exactly what was needed. Meanwhile, human workers handled the heavy lifting and dangerous assembly work in areas too risky for Zalarian physiology. Dr. Sarah Mitchell approached with a datapad full of reports. Jake, the joint research projects are producing amazing results. The Zalarians have medical knowledge that's centuries ahead of ours, but they've never tested it in extreme environments. Our people can survive conditions that would kill them instantly. What kind of results? Morrison asked. Yesterday, Amy and Jenka discovered a route through the Maelstrom Nebula that cuts travel time between systems by 40%. The Zalarians knew the route existed theoretically, but they could never survive the radiation levels to map it properly. Amy took a small ship through it like it was a Sunday drive. Morrison smiled. Navigator Amy Davis had been working closely with Zalarian astrocartographer Jenka for the past week. The aliens' precise calculations combined with Amy's willingness to take risks were opening up new possibilities neither species had imagined alone. On the other side of the asteroid, security. Chief Ryan Bell was training a mixed group of humans and Zalarians in basic security procedures. The training was not going as smoothly as the construction work. Remember, Ryan explained patiently, you don't have to fight. Your job is to spot trouble and call for help. Humans will handle any actual combat. Zalarian researcher Kolma raised one of his long arms. But what if the pirates capture us before help arrives? What if they threaten to hurt us? Ryan thought carefully before answering. He had learned that Zalarians processed fear very differently than humans. Where humans might get angry or determined when threatened, Zalarians became paralyzed with terror. If that happens, you cooperate with them completely, Ryan said. Give them whatever they want. Your safety is more important than any equipment or information. We'll find you and get you back. But how can you be sure? Asked another Zalarian. Ryan's expression became hard. Because we don't leave our people behind, ever. And as of 3 weeks ago, you became our people. This promise meant more to the Zalarians than Ryan realized. Their own government had written them off as lost the moment they entered the dangerous frontier sector. The idea that these human warriors would risk their own lives to rescue alien scientists was almost impossible for them to believe. Communications officer Lisa Carter had been busy establishing contact with other species in the region. The results were both encouraging and troubling. Captain, she reported during their daily briefing, I've been in touch with 17 different species operating in this sector. Most of them are peaceful researchers, traders, or colonists, but they're all having the same problem with pirates. Morrison studied the star chart Lisa had prepared. Red markers showed recent pirate attacks scattered across dozens of systems. How bad is it? Bad. The Vec mining colony in the Rigel system lost 3 transport ships last month. The Pori medical station near Vega has been completely cut off from supply runs, and there are rumors of something worse than pirates moving into the region. What kind of something worse? Lisa's expression darkened. Slavers. Not just the opportunistic raiders like the Kreks we fought. Organized operations that capture entire settlements and sell the population to buyers in the Outer Rim. This news sent a chill through the human crew. Pirates who stole cargo were bad enough, but slavers were something else entirely. Morrison had seen the aftermath of slaver raids during his early career in the merchant marine. The memory still gave him nightmares. What do the local authorities say about this? Morrison asked. That's the problem, sir. There are no local authorities. The Galactic Council claims jurisdiction over this entire sector, but they won't send peacekeeping forces into areas they consider too dangerous. Their ships are just as fragile as civilian vessels. Security Chief Ryan Bell leaned forward. So, these criminals have free run of hundreds of systems, and nobody's stopping them? Lisa confirmed. Until now. The next day brought their first test as an alliance. A desperate message arrived from the Vec mining colony, transmitted on the emergency frequency Lisa had given to all the local species. Human vessel New Horizon. This is Administrator Grex of Mining Station Omega. We are under attack by unknown raiders. 3 ships, heavily armed. Our defensive systems are failing. Please help us. Morrison didn't hesitate. Amy, plot a course. For the Vec colony. Best possible speed. Course plotted, Captain. 8 hours at maximum burn. Ryan, prepare a full security team. Lisa, contact Captain Vexen on the Dawn's Hope and tell him we need Zalarian sensor support. The response came within minutes. Captain Morrison, this is Vexen. We are already preparing to assist. Our sensors can track the raiders even if they try to hide in the asteroid field around the mining station. 2 hours later, the small human Zalarian task force dropped out of hyperspace near the Ek colony. The situation was worse than they had expected. The mining station was built into a large asteroid, and 3 sleek pirate vessels were systematically destroying its defensive platforms, creating massive structural damage to the station, reported Zalarian sensor operator Nalvin. From the Dawn's Hope, the Vec are trapped inside. Their life support systems are failing. Morrison studied the tactical display. The pirate ships were larger and better armed than the Krex vessels they had fought before. This would not be as easy as their first battle. These aren't random raiders, Security Chief Ryan Bell observed. Look at their formation and attack pattern. These are military-trained professionals. Navigator Amy Davis had been studying the enemy positions. Captain, I've got an idea. The pirates are focused on the mining station. They're not watching their escape routes. What do you have in mind? We use the asteroid field for cover and attack from 3 directions at once. The New Horizon takes the lead ship. The Dawn's Hope uses their advanced sensors to guide our targeting. And we coordinate our attacks to hit all 3 ships simultaneously. It was a risky plan, but Morrison could see the logic. Do it. The battle that followed became legendary among the frontier colonies. The human ship moved through the asteroid field like a hunting shark, using the massive rocks for cover, while the Zalarian vessel provided perfect targeting information. The pirates, expecting to face helpless miners, found themselves fighting a coordinated attack by species they had never encountered. The first pirate ship exploded when the New Horizons mining lasers found its reactor core. The second tried to flee, but ran straight into an ambush position Amy had predicted. The third ship attempted to use the mining station as a shield, threatening to destroy the Vec colony if the attackers didn't withdraw. This is Captain Morrison 2, unknown vessel. Release the miners and surrender, or we will destroy you. The pirate captain's response was filled with contempt. You have no authority here, human. This sector belongs to the strong. Withdraw or we kill every Vec in this system. Morrison's reply was calm and cold. Wrong answer. What happened next shocked even the human crew. Instead of attacking the pirate ship directly, Morrison ordered Amy to target the asteroids around it. The New Horizons mining equipment, designed to break apart massive chunks of rock, turned the space around the pirate vessel into a storm of deadly debris. The pirate ship, trapped in its own hostage position, could not maneuver to avoid the artificial meteor shower. Its shields overloaded and its hull cracked open like an egg. The crew evacuated in escape pods, which the humans collected for later questioning. Administrator Grex of the Vec colony sent a message of gratitude that was broadcast throughout the sector. The Human-Zalarian Alliance saved our lives today. They did what our own government could not or would not do. They brought justice to a lawless region. Within days, requests for protection began arriving from colonies and research stations across the frontier. Species that had never heard of humans or Zalarians were asking for help against pirates and slavers. Captain Vexton met with Morrison on the New Horizon to discuss these requests. We cannot protect everyone, Vexton said, though his tone suggested he wanted to try. We have 2 ships and maybe 30 people between us. No, Morrison agreed. But we can do something else. We can show other species that the criminals aren't invincible. Every pirate ship we destroy, every colony we save, proves that someone is finally fighting back. Dr. Sarah Mitchell joined their conversation with news from her medical work at the mining station. 6 months after their first meeting, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of Haven Station and watched ships from 12 different species dock at their growing base. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become something he never could have imagined. The station itself was a marvel of combined technology. Zalarian manufacturing systems had created the basic structure, but human engineering had made it capable of surviving in the dangerous asteroid field. That mining equipment had carved out the docking bays, while Pori medical facilities provided care for dozens of different alien physiologies. Captain, Communications Officer Lisa Carter approached with her daily briefing. We've received 17 requests for protection escorts this week. Trade convoys, research expeditions, even a diplomatic mission between the Keth and Vor governments. Morrison nodded, still amazed by how quickly word had spread. The Frontier Alliance, as the Galactic news networks had started calling them, was becoming a symbol of hope for peaceful species throughout the Rim territories. What's our ship availability? He asked. The New Horizon and Dawn's Hope are both in dock for maintenance. The Ek mining ship Ironforge is available for escort. Duty and the Pori medical vessel Healing Wind can handle research protection. 3 more human ships arrived yesterday from Earth, and the Zalarian government is sending 2 new research vessels with defensive modifications. The growth of their little alliance still surprised Morrison. When word reached Earth that humans had formed a military partnership with advanced alien species, the response had been immediate. The colonial administration had sent ships, supplies, and volunteers. Earth's various governments, despite their differences, had united in supporting the Frontier Alliance. The Zalarian response had been different, but equally strong. They're peaceful. Government had been horrified by the reports of piracy and slavery in frontier space. They began funding research expeditions specifically to work with human protection, seeing it as their duty to help civilize the dangerous regions of the galaxy. Security. Chief Ryan Bell joined them on the observation deck. Jake, I've got good news and bad news from our intelligence network. Give me the bad news first. The pirates are organizing. They formed something called the Rim Coalition, bringing together all the major raider groups under unified command. They see us as a threat to their operations, and they're planning to do something about it. Morrison felt a familiar tightness in his chest. He had known this day would come. The pirates couldn't ignore them forever. How bad? Maybe 30 ships, possibly more. They're talking about hitting Haven Station directly, trying to wipe us out before we can grow any stronger. Lisa Carter looked worried. Can we handle that many ships? That's the good news, Ryan continued. We're not alone anymore. I've been coordinating with security forces from 8 different species. They're all sending ships to help defend the station. Even some Galactic Council peacekeepers are talking about joining us, though their superiors haven't approved it yet. Dr. Sarah Mitchell appeared on the deck, tablet in hand. Jake, I need to show you something amazing. The joint research project with the Zalarians has produced our first major breakthrough. Activated her tablet, showing a complex diagram. That looked like a star chart mixed with a medical scan. We've been studying the ancient ruins that Captain Vex the Ness people found. Using human ability to work in dangerous environments and Zalarian analytical technology, we've discovered something incredible. What kind of something? Morrison asked. The ruins contain star maps, showing the locations of similar sites throughout the galaxy. But more than that, they contain technology that's thousands of years ahead of anything current civilization has developed. It's faster than light communication, defensive shields that can protect entire planets, manufacturing systems that can build ships in hours instead of months. Morrison stared at the display. Are you saying there was an ancient civilization that was more advanced than anything we know today? Yes, and they disappeared completely about 10,000 years ago. But they left instructions like they wanted someone to find this technology eventually. The problem is that most of the sites are in extremely dangerous locations. Radiation storms, unstable stars, gravity wells that would crush normal ships. But not human ships, Morrison realized. Exactly, we're the first species tough enough to actually reach these sites and recover the technology. The Zalarians can understand what we find, but they could never survive the journey to get it. This news changed everything. If they could access ancient technology that advanced, the balance of power in the galaxy would shift dramatically. More importantly, they could protect peaceful species from any threat. No matter how large or well-armed, Navigator Amy Davis arrived, with Zalarian astrocartographer Jenka, both looking excited. Captain Amy announced, "We've located the main Rim Coalition base. It's hidden in a nebula cluster about 6 hours from here." Jenka added, "Their fleet is gathering there, preparing for an attack on Haven Station, but the nebula interferes. with their sensors, will not detect our approach until we are very close. Morrison looked around at his mixed crew of humans and aliens. Over the past months, they had become more than just allies. They were friends, partners, and family. The idea of waiting for the pirates to attack their home was unacceptable.
Ow.
"Many ships can we put together for a strike mission?" he asked. Ryan Bell consulted his tablet. The New Horizon dawns hope. 3 deck mining vessels, 2 Pori medical ships with defensive modifications, and 4 human patrol ships, plus whatever volunteer vessels want to join us. That's still outnumbered by the pirate fleet, Amy pointed out. Maybe, Morrison said, but we have advantages they don't. We know they're coming, we know where they are, and we have something they've never faced before. What's that? Lisa asked. A coordinated fleet action between multiple species, each contributing their strengths to a unified strategy. The preparation took 2 days. Ships arrived from across the Alliance, bringing crews eager to strike back at the pirates who had terrorized the frontier for so long. The plan they developed was complex but elegant. The Zelarian ships would use their advanced sensors to map the pirate fleet's positions inside the nebula. Deck mining vessels would clear safe passages through the dangerous gas clouds. Pori medical ships would provide support and rescue operations. Human vessels would lead the actual assault, using their durability and aggressive tactics to break the enemy formation. Captain Vexton met with Morrison in the New Horizons briefing room before the mission launched. "Captain, my people are still not comfortable with violence, even against criminals. But we understand that sometimes fighting is necessary to protect the innocent." "I know this is hard for your people," Morrison replied. "You don't have to fight directly. Your sensors and coordination will be just as important as our weapons." Perhaps Vexton said thoughtfully, "But I think we are learning something from you humans. Sometimes the strongest response to evil is not to run away or hope. Someone else will handle it. Sometimes you must stand and fight, even if it terrifies you." The strike force launched at dawn, ship time. 15 vessels from 6 different species, united in purpose, despite their vastly different origins and capabilities. As they entered hyperspace, Morrison thought about how much had changed since that first distress call. The battle in the nebula lasted 3 hours. The pirates, expecting to face scattered resistance from individual colonies, found themselves fighting a coordinated assault by species they barely understood. Zelarian sensors guided human weapons with perfect accuracy. That mining ships used their industrial equipment to tear through pirate holes. Pori medical vessels rescued captured slaves while the fighting raged around them. When the last pirate ship surrendered or fled, the Alliance had captured the entire Rim Coalition leadership and freed over 2,000 enslaved beings from dozens of species. The victory sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. In the safe inner systems, government officials who had ignored frontier problems for decades suddenly wanted to meet with Alliance representatives. Criminal organizations throughout the Rim territories began abandoning their operations, fleeing. 2 more distant regions where humans had not yet established a presence. 3 days after the battle, Morrison received a message that made him smile. It was from Captain Vexton, who was back at Haven Station, coordinating refugee relief efforts. "Captain Morrison, I am sending this message to update you on our current situation, but also to reflect on what we have accomplished together. 6 months ago, my crew and I were dying alone in the void, abandoned by our own government and forgotten by civilization. Today, we are part of something that protects thousands of innocent beings across hundreds of systems." The message continued. "You asked me once how we could trust that humans would not turn their violence against us. I understand now that the question was wrong. The real question is not whether you will fight, but what you choose to fight for. You fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. You fight to build rather than destroy. You fight to create a galaxy where species like mine can pursue knowledge and beauty without fear.